welcome back. We are on episode 4 of the Honest Athlete podcast, and the guest we have today is an absolute legend in sprinting in British swimming, and I think it'd probably be, I think she needs to introduce herself. I don't think I could do her justice, so I'd like to introduce to you guys Fran Halsall.
Hello, everyone. I feel like that I'm that far out of introducing myself as a swimmer now that this is going to be quite hard to remember what I did and how I did it. But I think so. I competed at the 2008, 2012, 2016 Olympics. I think my highest finish in that was 4th, quite like yourself, Hannah, in Rio. Very close to the medals, but not quite the cigar, so to speak. I think I've got 11 Commonwealth medals, a few of which are gold. I still hold the 50 fly Commonwealth record, which I'm taking that. Europeans, I think I'm one of the most decorated European female swimmers ever, if I get that right. I'm definitely in the top 10, I think. So I'll take that one. And I think I still hold a couple of British records. And now I've subsequently retired after Rio, and I currently work for a nuclear engineering company. So a massive change in what I do now, which is really good fun because we support the fleet of gas reactors that are on the grid at the moment, and we're helping with the advanced technology to be able to add more low carbon energy to our fuel supply, which is really exciting, and it gives me great purpose. And then another part of that is also supporting the MOD on the defence of the nation as well. So 2 things that are very purposeful, which is definitely what I found that I needed once I finished swimming, was to have a great purpose to work towards. So I've got that now, so I'm very happy with what I do at the moment. So that is me.
Amazing. I had the conversation with Hannah just before we came on and said my younger self, my younger Lauren, is freaking out right now because I'm on a podcast with Hannah Miley and Fran Halsall, 2 absolutely unreal superstars that I used to watch when I was younger and be like, I want to be like them. So this is incredible to have you on, Fran. Thank you for your time. You've just literally gone over a super successful career in about 30 seconds. So there's much more to this story, and we will obviously hear that through the podcast. But my first question, and this is it goes to the end of your career but I just wanted to know, from transitioning out of swimming and after Rio and all that kind of stuff, and we will touch on that, how do you feel about swimming right now?
That's actually a really interesting question, because if you'd have asked me this a year, 2 years ago, I'd have probably given you a bit of a different answer than what I would give now. When I first finished, so I finished in the January, like you did, Lauren. January 2017, I finished. And after that, I literally took myself completely out of the sport. Didn't watch anything, didn't engage in anything that's going on. I think I probably spoke to 1 or 2 people that were still swimming, but not that often. Like, everybody that I surrounded myself with in my life completely went away from the sport. And I felt I needed that. I needed that detachment period for just to decompress and to understand me and who is Fran that's not Fran with swimming involved, basically. So I went through a period of not watching, not looking, not engaging with anything swimming related, to now, which has been a process of, I last summer started open water swimming, which you never thought you'd hear from somebody that used to swim 1 length of a swimming pool. I am now swimming around a lake in Cheshire. But yeah, I think the Tokyo Olympics is one of the first events that I thoroughly got into again from an Olympic sport perspective, and really got into the swimming, in terms of switched everything off before I could catch up on the morning highlights every morning, and got behind the team massively and really enjoyed that. So I'd had that period of, maybe it was grieving in a way, I don't know how to describe it, but a period of no swimming, nothing to do with it, to then now refinding my love of watching it and then my love of actually doing it. So, but in a different sense, like going out and swimming in a lake is obviously quite different to swimming up and down in a pool. But that led me to do a swim run in Wales, which was quite entertaining because I actually had to swim 6K in the sea as part of this, which I was trying to think back to when the last time I'd have done a 6K session was, and it definitely wasn't in the last 4 years of my career. So I can't tell you when the last time I swam 6K like in like one like hit would be, but basically it was an amazing experience. Although swimming in the sea, you cannot take it like in any way other than seriously, because I had no clue about the safety aspects of it really, in terms of the rips and that kind of jazz. And luckily I was with a very experienced open water swimmer that I did the swim with. Otherwise, I was at one point thinking, I'm going to have to get out here. I'm basically going to drown because the rip was taking me and I couldn't get through it. And I didn't know the safety around going 90 degrees and swimming like 90 degree angle to it to get out of it. So I was using up all my energy, like trying to get out of this, swimming as fast as possible, and couldn't move. And I was just thinking to myself, what would the irony be of Olympic swimmer Fran Halsall dies at sea doing a swim run event in Wales? But I finished it and felt such a like sense of achievement. So I suppose my like love of swimming is definitely back.
Oh my goodness, Fran, my face is like hurting from laughing and smiling so much. I was just thinking, would it have been like the Bill Sweetenham era for like the 6K sessions? I feel like it probably would have been way back in then, but
it could have been then, yes. 6K was a very novelty day. I remember at some points over Christmas when I was with Ben Titley, he used to do like, we had like a horrendous Christmas week of getting 80, 90K in for 2 weeks. But that was it. That was the only 2 weeks where I'll have seen that kind of stressful number in my life. I remember when the Bill Sweetenham days, though, Hannah, going back to that, we used to have to give in, didn't we, our meters logs for the week when we were like really young. And I think my coach, Colin, at the time, kind of understood that if he tried to get me to do 6K every session for that many sessions a week, Fran would not have swam at an Olympic Games. I'd have been out of the sport. So he fudged the numbers. He literally put in 6K that I'd done it every day, but it was like not happening at all. And I suppose what I kind of learned from that was like, each swimmer's individual of what you need and who you are. And if you try and be like a robot of this is what I've got to do, this is how I've got to do it, because that's the way I'm told by somebody else that's done it a certain way before. Everybody's individual and has different needs. And my needs at the time was just keeping me in the sport and keeping me enjoying it and loving it. And if I wasn't enjoying and loving it, I'd have just gone and done something else, because like you two girls, like you were dead academic, great at school, like good at other sports as well. And I could have like gone and done anything. So credit to him for kind of knowing what Fran needed to keep her excited and keep her engaged and entertained and keep me doing what I was doing. So the 6Ks came it was only on camps that I had to, when I was forced to do them, I was like, bloody hell. That was always the issue.
I mean, that's amazing. But it's so true that, you know, the coach reads you and you have to do right by the individual athlete. And I guess it is hard when you have clubs where you've got, you know, 30, 35 swimmers to one coach. But kind of going back to your open water, because I am so curious about this. Why open water? How did you get into that? Like, what kind of spurred you on being like, yeah, 6K in the sea, it's all good?
Nice weather. I think I wrote in my retirement note that I was going to miss swimming outdoors to get an even tan and doing backstroke outside, asking to do a set backstroke so I could get an even tan. But I think I was kind of looking for something that was going to be good for me, that I'd not done before. Like the past few years, I've learned how to play golf. I've learned how to play paddle tennis. I've ran a marathon. I've done the Ryder 100. So I kind of like to like experience new things in a sporting sense, and I'd never done it, never thought about doing it. And I'm going to be honest with you, the first time I rocked up on my own at the lake to do it, I was bloody nervous. I was like, oh, how's this going to go? What am I supposed to do? Which way do I go? Like, oh my gosh, when you're in there, that buoy looks mega far away. And I was just like, okay. And then really got a buzz out of doing it. And it's so mindful and just like once I'd done it once, I was like, I want to do this every Saturday morning, and just built it into my Saturday morning routine of getting up, and it's a nice way to start my weekend. I'm quite lucky of where I live. The lake's lovely. The like bits around it in terms of there's a cute little coffee shop to go and sit and have a coffee afterwards. And over the summer, it was quite nice Saturdays to get up in the morning, go do my swim, like decompress from the week and just enjoy the experience of actually being good at a sport and not really bad.
I love that Hannah's question was like, why open water swimming? What's really nice though is you have gone into different sports, golf, paddle tennis, the marathon, which I have obviously questions about. I remember seeing you doing it and thinking, yes, I love that Fran's doing this, because we always got told swimmers shouldn't run. However, why not? You know?
Well, I might have proved that right, Lauren.
Well, I do want to hear all about it. I want to hear how it went, because it's, again, you've come from one length of swimming insanely fast down a swimming pool to a marathon. You're not in water.
Don't get this. Yeah, non-swimmers don't get that, do they? They don't get that there's a specific kind of like energy that you use for your swimming system, and then that doesn't mean it relates to anything else. People think you're sporty, you're fit, you'll be able to do this. And I was kind of, when I started my training, I was thinking, when I was swimming, I spent my day horizontal, basically. I was lying down in bed before I got up, and then I drove to training, so you're kind of half up, aren't you? Then I was horizontal in the pool for 2 hours. Then I went and had a nap, so I was horizontal again. Then I was driving again, and then I was in the pool. So I was thinking, my average time stood up in a day probably equates to an hour max. And now I've got to run for 4 hours straight. So it was like, people don't understand this.
No. And so first of all, how did the marathon go? At any points were you like, what am I doing? I'm sure I would be, I'm sure. And also, do you ever feel, because I know I definitely do you ever feel the expectation of you're going to be amazing at it because you went to the Olympics? Because I get that all the time, and I feel like I really want to try things, but then I'm like, people expect me to just be great at it though.
No, I agree with that, definitely. The training's interesting because it's obviously putting in a lot of miles, and you just got to run, which, like, from being a sprinter in the pool, you just want to be entertained and excited and in and out as quickly as possible. So actually getting your head around, right, I've got to go out and run for 3 hours today, it is really challenging. Competitiveness definitely came out in the fact that I got asked to do it by New Balance. It was the New York Marathon. They were just taking on sponsorship of the marathon at the time, and they asked me as an ambassador to do it alongside a lady called Penny who runs gyms in London, and another lady called Shona Virtue who's like a fitness influencer. And I was like, I'm not getting beaten by a fitness influencer. I was like, that is not happening. So then, like, the steely-eyed, like, focus came in that I had one job, and that was to make sure Shona Virtue didn't finish the marathon before me. Which sounds awful, but that was just the competitiveness coming out. I was just like, right, I'm gonna bloody do this, and I'm gonna give it a good crack. And it was bloody difficult. Like, I thought, Joe, you think, oh, it'd just be fine. You just get through it. It's just one of those things. You've got the mental capability of being able to push through anything, like, given what you've done, you'll be fine. But credit to anybody that's ever completed a marathon. It's mentally draining, physically draining. Your body's not supposed to be doing that, I'm pretty sure. But when you finish, it was just like a sense of elation. It was like winning a swimming race, like finishing it. I was like basically in tears with happiness. All the emotions came out. It was really cool thing to do. And I was quite lucky that I did the London one, because I know people training for the New York one, because I know people training for the London one currently. And through this weather, can you imagine like having to train outdoors like through the winter to get the marathon done in the March, whereas mine was in the October time, so it was summer training, which again, there's a lot being said here about my activities usually revolve around being outdoors in the sunshine.
Hey, I mean, works for you. Go with it.
Exactly, just solar powered. What can I say?
Yes, it is. Always firmly believe swimmers are solar powered. You do. You just get so much happiness and better when the sun shines out.
Have you done anything, Anna, since you finished in terms of like challenges exercise wise?
Kind of figuring it out at the minute, because I'm kind of currently going through that same process of I'm nervous to try anything new, because I feel that expectation of, oh well, you should be good at it anyway because you're an Olympian or you're a swimmer, so you've got the fitness. And I'm like, yeah, fitness and strength's definitely nowhere near what it used to be. So I'm trying to get back into running. It's more of a jog than a run. So I'm enjoying doing that. It's just trying to do group classes actually to enjoy the company with other people. That and Pilates Reformer are kind of like my two go-to. Trying to do sprint running. It's mainly the hobby I do with my dogs. So there's like short bursts of sprints. So for once, I actually get to train and try and be a sprinter.
I bet you're like, why didn't I try this earlier?
I know, it's great. Oh, yeah. But it's so lovely to kind of see it. Like, for me, you were a huge inspiration on a lot of teams because you're so bubbly. You were incredibly driven, and that competitiveness, like, it makes me smile because, you know, that is the Fran that I know. You gave everything. You left nothing behind when you were in that race and in that pool. But kind of going into what your career is just now, like, it's bizarre. I kind of, Fran Halsall working in nuclear engineering. It's just crazy, but it's so cool. Could you give us a little bit of an insight as to how you then transitioned into that, how it's been, and yeah, how you kind of got into that role?
So when I finished, I opened a coffee shop. That was the first thing that I did. I was like, right, I want to do something, get stuck into something else. And I love food and drink. So opened up a coffee shop, which was a baptism of fire into the working world in terms of, but I didn't know like what margins you have to make on products once you've bought them in to make sure that you then turn over a profit, or what your staffing costs should be, and all those kind of things that I'd never even had to think about in my life, because most of what we do, right, is prescribed, isn't it? Like as a swimmer, you're prescribed these sessions, you're surrounding. What I figured out is our key skill was the fact that we can pull lots of people in and gather the information from them and deliver it in the best possible way. So we're really good communicators. We have to be. We're very good at trusting and understanding what's being said to us and how we need to then deliver it. And like, that's our skill as an athlete. You're not there thinking, well, I wasn't anyway, some people might have been. I wasn't there thinking, reading textbooks on technique. That was my coach's job to understand that side of things, that then I trusted him to relay this information to me. I got that information from the physio of how physiologically this was going to work, how is it going to impact my knees, my shoulders, etc., and put that all together in one package. I was the finished product really of everybody else's expertise, experience and knowledge. You're the conduit of pulling it all together, making sure they're talking to understand each other, to make sure that you stand on the blog ready to go with all this other information that you've been blessed with having. And that's kind of really cool, but I didn't realize that when I came out of swimming. I thought that I was like independent, knew everything about everything. Like I was really driven, so I could do anything, go getter, like figure it out. But actually, I love talking to people, understanding from them, and then digesting it and relaying it. And that was my skill. And I was like, okay, so just people, like I need people around me to go, Fran, this, that, the other, that's how you do it. Like, right, cool, I can go do it until the cows come home now. Okay, you need to speak to that person because that person doesn't know how to do that. You should engage with them because you've got skills that will complement each other. So, sorry, this is quite long-winded. But so I went through this whole phase of figuring out me and my skills and how they worked and what that looks like in terms of a career. And I haven't got like qualifications in engineering, which sounds mad that I now work in nuclear engineering. But what I did was I kind of spoke to a lot of people, tried to understand different industries, understand what different people do, how it works, what goes on, what are the roles like in your business, and happened upon a really cool company so we're actually owned by a company called Babcock Group, which is a FTSE 250 company. They own the dockyards at Devonport. They're up at Rosyth and Clyde. We manufacture bits for the Navy. We maintain the sub warships. We do all the training for the fire service. So we do loads of cool stuff. So basically, my job now is part of business swimming team. So finding out all this stuff, putting it into a tender to basically get more work. So I'm winning work for the company is my job, and that involves, you know, going out speaking to clients. What do you need? What can we do to help? What are our capabilities? Finding the really interesting, clever people in our business and what they do, understanding that, making it simple and relaying that to customers of how we can help build pressure valves. I didn't even know what a pressure valve was 12 months ago, and now I understand the whole ins and outs of how a nuclear reactor is built and works. So it's been such a learning experience, and my mission is to show that you can go into a different career after sport that's completely different and make a success of it. And you know, I'm on the Nuclear Institute's Young Generation Committee now, so I'm influencing Parliament on what we should be doing moving forward as a nuclear industry. So I've kind of found my skills of what I was good at in a swimming sense and trying to execute them out in the big wide world. So that's how I've ended up where I am.
Wow. It's amazing to see, because we do have transferable skills, but it's really good for everyone to see and listen to. No, you can transfer them into almost anything, right? And that's probably what one of our superpowers is as athletes, is being able to do that. But a lot of people don't know how to do that, and it can be quite a difficult transition for a lot of people, and it takes time. I think that's the other thing. It does take time.
It does, and you've got to be kind to yourself, haven't you, right, on that journey? Like because you're super driven, super successful, done something really well for years, you expect then I'm gonna be able to do that instantly again. And sometimes I felt really frustrated with myself that I hadn't found that thing that I wanted to get up for every day and go to work and to engage with and to make a career out of, because I expected that I should just know that. And then when I started, it was like, I should be CEO. Why am I not CEO? Like, you've got to be kind to yourself. And that's a massive lesson that I'm still struggling with now is, Fran, it's one foot in front of the other. You didn't go to the Olympics the first year you dived into a swimming pool, did you? It took you time to understand your craft, learn what you were good at, what your skills are, and then point them in the right direction. And it is hard when you finish, I think, to not get frustrated with yourself, to go do something else and like make sure that that's really successful. Like, it's taken me, what year is it now? 2023. Oh my gosh. So I've been retired 7 years. So it's taken me this long to get to a really good point with it. So that's quite a long time, really. And ups and downs along the way. But if I was saying to anybody finishing now, it'd be kind to yourself and take the time. There's only a decision. There's not a wrong decision. You just make a decision. You go with it. If it doesn't work, there's always time to try something else. And if anybody wants to come and work in the nuclear industry, I'm more than happy to have them, as they'd be a great asset with their sporting skills.
A really, really important message there. And I think a lot of people that will help a lot of people just listening to what you've done and kind of applying that to their own lives, hopefully, just taking it on board, because you can learn so much, and you are obviously showing everyone, yeah, it's possible, which is brilliant. So just going back to the swim career now, you, like I said at the start, you kind of wrapped up an insane career in 30 seconds. So we're definitely not having that. We want to hear more. So I think we'll definitely start with your proudest moment in swimming, but and also, has that changed over time?
Oh, okay. My proudest moment in swimming. I've got two really proud moments, and for different reasons. My first is definitely that experience of winning a big global international medal for the first time. Like, there's nothing that beats that experience. And the first time it happens, it's just like magic, absolute magic that happened to me, and seeing my parents go nuts in the crowd and seeing how proud they were. It was just like, so mine was in 2009 at Rome World Championships. I got a silver medal in the 100 freestyle, and literally, I don't think I was expected to get a medal at the time, and I got a silver and it was the best moment ever. Like, if I could bottle that feeling of that moment and take it whenever anything wasn't feeling too good, it would be amazing. It's like magic. But then reflecting on my career, my proudest moments are the ones where something didn't quite go right and I managed to overcome it. And I know that sounds a bit cheesy, but like, just being able to not give up and go again was like I'm mega proud of myself for doing that. Like, I had quite a cushy career, probably, to be honest, from starting to 2012. Like, everything just went well. Like, I'd go to a meet, I'd swim really well, wasn't worried about not getting on funding, wasn't like, nothing really major happened to me that was bad in those 12 years. So I hadn't really experienced a massive failure in any way. And I felt London, for me, I felt like a massive failure. And that was a big pivotal moment in my career for me, because like, coming fifth at an Olympics isn't a failure, is it? Let's be honest. But I hadn't taken that in its own essence. I'd said, if I don't come away from this with an Olympic gold medal, I am a failure. But that's just nuts when I think about it now and how I thought about it then. I just feel like that statement in itself sounds bonkers. It's just like, I was putting my whole self-worth on 24 seconds worth of work. That's it. I was putting my whole self-worth on what happened on one day at a certain time, and like, can't control what anybody else does that day either. Like, that's what I felt my self-worth was about at that moment. And it killed me. It absolutely broke me in two. I thought I was a massive failure. I'm not good at swimming. Why am I doing this? Like, it's never going to be good, because I hadn't before that experienced not just getting what I wanted from swimming. And so my whole ego, my whole being was wrapped up as Fran, this swimmer. And my successes, my results were what people liked me for, what my parents cared about, what like was the only thing that mattered and the only thing that made me. And it was after that that took a lot of reflecting and time to position how I felt about that and go again. And then I was really proud of myself after Rio coming fourth, because I was going into an environment, for me, don't forget, after the last one being the most terrible experience of my life to me. Like, it was like a grieving period afterwards. Like, I was up in the middle of the night crying my eyes out, like wouldn't eat, like went through a horrendous period, to then stand up and put yourself in the position to feel like that again. That's like massive. But between those 4 years, I had to do so much work on the mental side of my sporting experience as much as my physical side. And that was mega important to me. And the fact that I went on that journey and didn't get a medal in Rio, so I didn't then do what the goal was, but my reaction to it and my response to it was completely different. And that I was so proud of, that I'd done all that work, and then I actually, it all worked out in terms of I'd done all this work for me on Fran, and I didn't get the result, and yet I could cope with it and deal with it so much better. And I was mega, mega proud of myself that I'd put myself through that journey, put myself in that position to potentially fail again, not shy away from it, not like go into it with anything but positive thoughts, like process driven. Here's how I'm going to deliver my race. Did everything I possibly could to put myself in the best position to win a medal, but knew that even if I didn't, I wasn't going to be that same Fran as I was in 2012. And going on that journey, experiencing that, and then coming out of London the way I did, I was mega proud of myself for. So that was probably the proudest thing now, looking back from my career.
Wow. that kind of lost for words with regards to that. It's incredibly powerful as well. And I think a lot of athletes feel that they need the personal best times and the medals to feel defined as a good athlete. But actually, what you just said there, the growth and mindset and the strength to be proud of yourself, regardless of whether you get the medal or not, I think is so, so important. And for me, psychology side of it is really prevalent. And there's a little story I'd like for you to maybe tell us a little bit more about, because I think it goes to show how strong you are within your mindset, but also coping with a scenario maybe it's taken out of your hands. So your semi-final where you're in the bus. Not
Oh gosh.
You know exactly
Yeah.
what you said. Could you give us more of an insight into that? Because for me, it's the one story I absolutely love, because I think it showcases you as an incredible athlete, but also it highlights, you know, how as athletes you have to be adaptable. Some things don't go according to plan. So are you fully ready? You can be physically ready, you can maybe say you got the psychology, but actually being put in a situation where everything literally gets turned upside down and you still have to perform at the peak pinnacle of your career. What do you do? So yeah, I'll let you.
Exactly. And you know what it's like, Hannah, right? You've got your checklist of everything that you just need to do. Like, your cycle of training for an Olympic cycle is planned out. The whole 4 years is a plan, isn't it? Of which never goes to 100% plan, but there's an outline plan. Then you reassess at the end of the year. Are we still on track for this? Okay, we need to make adjustments here. And it's constantly thinking, yeah, we can plan, we do our best to plan, but things are going to go wrong. And things do go wrong all the time, right? Don't they? It just happens. But the things that you kind of have in your head when you go into a meet thinking, okay, I could forget my goggles. What could go wrong? What could go wrong on my race day? I could forget my pass, so I can't get to the swimming pool. Right, okay, I need to make sure that I put a reminder somewhere so we don't forget the pass. So you're trying to mitigate all these problems, aren't you? Like, what happens if like I'm a little bit ill, right? I've make sure like I've got like a situation around me where I know that I've been in this position before, I've been a bit sick before a race, I've got like enough hydration stuff to get me sorted. I know that that's not going to impact the next 3 hours that I'm going to race. I can still race. I've not had a great night's sleep. That's cool. We've been resting for the last 3 weeks. So this one night is not going to make a difference to my performance. So you've kind of mitigated all these potential things that could go wrong. And then you get to an Olympic Games and it's like obviously the epitome of your career, really, isn't it? As an athlete, it's what most athletes aspire to go to a games, or it's a dream to go to a games, and it's the most incredible experience ever being at Olympic Games. It genuinely is. And I remember in Rio getting to the village, and I'm pretty sure somebody nearly got hit on the head by a air conditioning unit that had just fallen off the wall at the training pool, and the tent that that housed all the food kind of like places where you go to eat had basically nearly blown away in a storm. So everybody was having to deal with things that are kind of going wrong that you wouldn't expect. So that's kind of, I suppose, a bit of context. I'm swimming on the second to last day and last day of the meet. So I've been chilling while all this has been going on, just giggling at it, not really paying that much attention because it's not going to affect me. It's not going to impact me. I can't control it. I can still eat, like air conditioning, it's fine. The pool's pretty chilled, like all good, no issues here. So I'm controlling this, not getting too drawn into all the chaos that's going on, which is good. That's what I've been learning over the last 3 years, right? Just controlling what you can control, Fran. It's all cool. Like you expected things to happen. So I swam the heats to my 50 freestyle in the morning, and the semis and finals were quite late, I remember. But I swam really well in the morning. Do you know when you just have one of those swims where you think, oh, that felt good. Yeah, I like that one. I'll take that, especially for a morning swim. Yes. So I was quite chuffed with my little self coming out of the 50 freestyle heat. So then you've got your process, you're swimming down, you're getting a massage, you're going back to the village, having some food, having a nap, having a little bit more food, packing your bag, repacking your bag to make sure you've got everything you need, making sure you've got your accreditation on so you can get in and out the village, you're ticking off everything that you need to do before your semi-final. So you know what time it's at, you can count back the hours, you know exactly where you're at with this day. It's all structured, like you've planned it, you've mitigated all the risks, it's gone. It's all cool, don't have to think about anything. So I get to this point where I'm going back down to race the semi-final. I think I was in lane 4, semi-final 1. So I was the second fastest qualifier in the morning. And I get to the bus rank because at the Olympics there's like a massive area where there's like about 20, 30 different buses all pulling in, leaving at different times, going to different venues. They've got bus stops on them of exactly where they're going, so you know which one you're getting on. So I get on a bus with, I know I sat next to Georgia. I remember Georgia being there. But other than that, I was pretty sketchy about who was on this bus. Apart from, I know Jeanette Offerson was on the bus, and there was probably another 2 people that were in the semi-final with me that night were on this bus. So I'm getting on the bus, there's loads of swimmers on it, off we go to the pool, got loads of time chilling. Then you've got your routine on the way to pool. It's an Olympics semi-final, right? You like having to try and chill. You're not trying to get too overexcited too soon. So got my process, I'm just chilling out, speaking to Georgia, making sure I'm keeping a little bit hydrated, keeping myself distracted, not trying to think about my race too much at this point. That comes later when I get to the pool. So I'm carrying on going on this journey to the pool, and it's taken a bit longer than I'd have thought. Like, it's like, oh God, we've been on this bus quite a while, haven't we? Looking around, don't really know where we are because I haven't been paying attention. And I was like, don't worry, Fran, you've planned for this. Got bags of time. Rio traffic, it's not going to phase you. You've controlled that one. So I was like, yeah, I'm all over this, feeling good about myself still, staying in my routine, not getting distracted about it taking a bit longer and the Rio traffic being a bit of a nightmare. And then I hear somebody get up and ask the bus driver, when are we going to get to the swimming pool? Because it was taking a bit longer than anticipated. And the bus driver's English was probably as good as this coach's Portuguese. So they were having a bit of a tussle of language like barriers going on. And the bus driver responded saying, no swimming pool, which at this point, the whole bus goes silent because everybody's then listening. So it was like you could hear a pin drop on this bus. And the coach says again, what do you mean no swimming pool? He's like, athletics track. So at this point, the whole bus goes into chaos. The bus isn't going to the swimming pool where everybody on it thought we were going. It's going to the athletic stadium side of town. So given the traffic and given what's going, like how you'd have to get the bus back to the village to then go to the swimming pool that's in a completely other direction, as you can imagine, all hell breaks loose on this bus. Like there's people giggling, thinking it's hilarious because they're not swimming that night, so they're just on their like jollies having like a sightseeing tour of the Olympic Stadium. And then there's us girls that are in this blooming like this semi-final that night who were like doing the calculations in our head. How long is it going to take us to get back? How long is it going to take us to get to the swimming pool? We're going to miss our swim here. We're not going to make it in time. Like literally, I am not making the start of my race from where I am now. That's like, that was the fact in my head. And I was like, right, okay. There's people like also that were in the swim that then started screaming, going absolutely nuts about this situation. Like they were like, what? How am I gonna miss it? So I was like, okay, Fran, ring James, my coach, James Gibson at the time. So I rang James. I was like, James, I'm on a, he's like, yeah, Franny, where are you? I was like, I'm on a bus. He's like, oh, great, I'll see you in about 10 minutes then. I was like, I'm not going to make it, was what I said to him at that moment in time. I'm not going to make it. And he just starts laughing. He's like, what are you on about? I was like, stuck on a bus. It's gone the wrong way. And he's like, you joking? I was like, I'm not joking. He's like, okay, leave it with me. That's what he said. He said, leave it with me. I remember thinking, I got to trust James now. I've done what I can do. All I can do is speak to the people who can potentially help me sort this situation. I haven't missed my swim yet. I'm still on this bus. Until I miss the swim, I'm still racing that race. That's all I can control is my thought process of, I've spoken to James. That's the only thing I could do right now. Can't do anything else. Like literally, I can't run to the swimming pool. Like it's not going to happen. So I've spoken to the people that can help. I've not missed it. Stay in the mindset that you're swimming your Olympic semi-final tonight. That's all I tried to do because I could have got really upset. I could have got really angry. I could have got really woe be me in terms of why would this bloody happen to me? Like, oh God, it's a bloody nightmare. Like, that's it. I'm done now. It's an awful situation to be in. I'm never got a chance of doing anything now. But all I thought was, I've not missed it yet. I've done what I needed to do. And by some miracle, Dawn and James managed to change the whole start list of the Olympic finals night that night, which I think might have put off some of the girls that were actually already at the pool. I don't know. I might need to ask them about that at some point to make sure that we got there on time to be able to swim the swim. So we ended up, I think we were supposed to swim at like 8:45, but we ended up at 11:52 or something. They pushed it right to the end of the schedule, to the point where I only just still made it. I got to the pool, didn't have time to do a warm-up, so your usual process is still out the window, but I can't control that. I know I'm in good shape, I'm warm, I know I can swim this swim. I know what my processes are for getting on the block, diving in, and how many strokes it is until I'm breathing, then what I'm doing in the last 15 meters. I know how to control that, and that's what I know how to do. I've practiced it enough times. That's all I need to worry myself about, what I can control. So I went into the call room. Everyone's a bit like, oh, showing up now then, are you? So it's quite funny kind of situation. Everyone's a bit like in a different headspace than you'd usually be for an Olympic semi-final. I stood on the blocks, delivered the race that I knew I could do, and I made the final. I think I won my semi-final and made the final in fourth fastest. And I think the two other girls that were on the bus definitely didn't make the final. So because of how they responded and reacted to the situation that they couldn't control, it really, really affected their ability to put themselves in a position to deliver the race that they should have been in the Olympic final. And that was like part of my whole mantra of that actual Olympics, was a massive mental learning like situation for me, that I'd done all this work beforehand to be able to do that. Like if I hadn't have gone through that in London and had gone through the process of, right, I can only control what I control, I'm still me, it's my swim, here's the logic behind my swim, all the emotions have to go by side. Like I know some people get really like emotionally like, I can do this, I can swim fast, I'm gonna absolutely smash it. But for me and my brain can't compute that. My brain's going, you want me to smash it, Fran? Okay, what does that mean? What does smash it actually look like when you swim in a 50 freestyle? I can tell you what it means. It means spinning your arms too fast and not catching any water and going bloody nowhere. Like getting myself overhyped to swim a swim was a guaranteed way of me basically looking like I was going backwards because I tried too hard. I had to stick to my processes. I had to be, you're excited, you can't get rid of the excitement anyway. So that energy is always going to be there. But it's the logical process of your race that I knew I could deliver, because I've delivered it before and I've done it before. Even if I've only done the first 15 meters, I know I can deliver that 15. Then I need to do that for the next part, and I need to think about that. That's all I need to think about when I'm swimming, to be able to swim the best I can. And I was really proud of myself that I actually did that. And as I said, that was one of my like proudest memories looking back, was that games and how I dealt with it all. So yeah, the bus was an interesting situation, Hannah.
Honestly, Fran, I hope that you never stop telling that story, because there's so much you can learn from that. We need to find this bus driver. We need to get him on the Honest Athletes. Did you do
He
that on
owes me an
purpose?
Olympic medal. No, I'm joking.
No, just like there's so much to learn from that story. Even I'm like, I've heard it before, but every time I listen to it, I'm like, something else. I learn something else every time. And I think the important thing from that is to realize we never stop learning at all. You know, you've done however many races in your whole career leading up to that point, and we still have to learn and adapt, and just in that situation to be able to stay calm and go, right, what do I need to do now? What am I in control of? What can I? It's just wow.
It's the same at any level of any job, of any sport. Like it's so easy to get caught up in the things that don't actually matter, isn't it? Like sometimes I find myself even like at home with my husband, and I'm like, why has he left that there? And then my head starts getting really irritated. And that's not an emotion I want, right? I don't want to be really irritated with John because he's left something where he shouldn't. Like, I can't control where John decides to put things. I'm not John unless I had him on the puppet strings. So I've got to let it go because it's only affecting me. And if you let external things like get into your head, it's only ever going to affect you. It's not affecting anybody else. Like the fact that I was stuck on that bus, do you think, like, say Kate Campbell, for example, do you think she was thinking, oh, poor Fran? No, she's thinking, I hope that affects her. So it's only going to affect you. Like literally anything I say. I think it's funny because like, Joe, if somebody honks at you and you're like, why are they honking at me, and getting upset about it, but actually you're just affecting yourself and your day. You're not affecting the person that's honking at you by you getting upset about it. So only thinking about and can control it, and controlling what you can do. And I honestly, like, it's hard because you find yourself sometimes I still have to, like, pull myself back on that. It's not an instant thing. That it's not instantly Fran goes, something crazy's happening, and Fran's like, yeah, I'm cool. It just doesn't happen like that all the time. It takes work and it takes effort, and sometimes it is like you catch yourself for a minute going, that's not how I should respond to this situation. Okay, Fran, how do you want to respond? Right, what can I control here? What's going to be the best thing for me right now to be able to do, and how am I going to do that? And that's literally that story epitomized, really. At least Rio was good for a good story, right?
Well worth it for that story alone. Well worth it. No, it's just great to hear. Really interesting. And I mean, we knew this episode was going to be great, didn't we, Hannah? We said it before we even came on. But just to wrap up this episode then, what is there anything you can share with us that we can expect from Fran in 2023 or 2024 even? Do you have anything that you're working towards in any parts of your life, really, that we should be looking out for?
Well, I'm going to be taking on the local Wilmslow paddle tennis league, mixed doubles. So if me and my other half don't, like, get too annoyed with each other, then we're going to be taking that by storm this year.
Love that. That's brilliant. And do you know what's great about that? That's around the corner from me. So
You should come play, Lauren.
I'll be there. Whenever you need me, Fran, I'll be there. Okay.
You could make a
Cheering
good, like,
on.
it'd be like an absolute ninja team if me and you took on everybody there.
Oh,
Like,
Fran, I love tennis, so I'm there. I'm there.
love that. Yes, okay, let's do that. Let's do paddle tennis.
Oh, I'm in. Thank you so much for your time, Fran. It's been wonderful to almost have a catch up and to listen to parts of your story. There's obviously loads more. You had an amazing career, but it's just great that you shared some of those key moments with us, really, and also to see that you're doing amazing now and you've managed to transfer those skills into your life and to transition out of professional swimming and just continue being super successful, really, and happy.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Yeah, very happy. And it was so great to talk to you both and see your beautiful faces on the screen. It's been lovely. And I really enjoy the podcast, guys. You do such a great job of it. So thanks for having me on.
Oh, thanks, Fran. Hannah, anything else?
No, we're all good. It's just been awesome having you on, Fran. I kind of feel like you almost need to do like a 5-part series with you, because I feel like there's still so many stories from you that I think we barely got to kind of, get through. But it's just so lovely to see you still being Fran. Like, you've not changed as a person, but it's so awesome to see how you have grown and changed into your new career, and you're just still as excited for that as you were for when you were swimming. It's lovely. It's really nice to see.
Thanks, Han. Appreciate that. And I hope the series is great, girls. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate you inviting me on. Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you. And thank you to our listeners. We know that you'll have loved that episode, because we definitely did. And we hope that you take some things away. But I hope you have a great week, and we will see you next week.